What up there, friends? About a week ago, I uploaded a video on how you can learn the 3-beat weave in only 30 minutes. Hopefully there's a bunch more of you out there that are doing the weave now, and I want to show you how to transition in and out of it. Drex here from Drex Factor Poise, sharing with you the love of poise spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I am showing you how to transition in and out of one of the most recognizable poi moves of all time. But before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Bunk, Fire Mecca, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterror Light Toys, Spin Balls, and Ultra Poi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these awesome companies and the work they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links down in the description of this video. And special thanks to the non-business friend of the channel, Pekka Pekkonen. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. So I think that 3-beat weaves get a little bit of a bum rap when it comes to poi spinning in general and also transitions. Because they're so associated with beginner poi, I think people kind of forget about them and leave them by the wayside. And beyond that, because our hands are tangled up and twisted up for most of the duration of the move, I think a lot of people also just assume that there's not really a lot of transition possibilities there. And you know what? They're wrong. So I'm going to give you what currently on paper is 8 different possibilities for transitions using 3-beat weaves, although some of them may have some additional possibilities nestled inside of them. And I'm going to work my way up from beginner to intermediate and then advanced transitions. So buckle up. Okay, so it's got to be said that when it comes to transitions with weaves, one of those things that we really have to contend with is the fact that quite a lot of transitions with 3-beat weaves are things that kind of have their own names and become thought of as tricks in their own right. So we're starting this one off with just the waist strap that is turning from a forwards to reverse weave and then back again. You can do this either going just back and forth across the front of your body, or you can take it in a full 360 degrees if you so choose. That's totally up to you. This is one of those absolute staples and something that, quite frankly, was a big piece of inspiration to me when I first started spinning. This was that thing that when I saw it performed, I was just like, okay, I'm all in. I want to figure out how to do this one. And of course, from that waist strap, it is barely a step forward to then take it up and around and add what feels like a windmill on top of it to get the 4-beat fountain out of it. This is the first thing that I ever learned that I actually thought of as being a poi transition, taking my forwards to reverse weaves back and forth in this waist strap, and then figuring out a way to take them up into a windmill. Awesome. So with the basics out of the way, let's start getting into some stuff that I think is more intermediate level for these poi transitions. And we're going to start that off with 1.5s. That is this version of what feels a little bit like a 3-beat weave, but you're expanding out and adding pendulums to either side of it. The idea here is basically the same thing as the 3-beat weave, except that whichever hand is going on top as you switch sides suddenly rises above and gives you a pendulum instead of a static spin to go around and perform your weaves with. You just got to open up and essentially turn what was a 3-beat weave into what I now realize is a cap. And of course, the real fun of this is being able to open up and then close again, and open up and then close again, going back and forth between them. Really what makes this work is something that's going to be a big help with transitions down the road, and that's realizing that on either side of the 3-beat weave, there's a point where your arms come untwisted for a second, and that's a moment where you can do something different. In the case of doing the 1.5-beat weave, that's the moment where you can pull one hand out and have it jump up above and do a pendulum instead of one of those beats. So be on the lookout for that as we go further into this list. Awesome. So next up, we're going to utilize our first transition that takes advantage of the fact that 3-beat weaves involve twisting and untwisting our hands. So rather than looking for that moment of separation, we're instead looking towards that moment where our arms cross. Why? Because that actually is the perfect way to get into a poi crosser, where, that's right, we mean to keep our hands crossed. Really what makes this work is we're looking for that moment where we go from our hands uncrossed to our hands crossed again. And from there, we can just convert that into a set of shoulder reels. We're just doing it with our arms crossed instead of our arms uncrossed. So rather than this, we're going to this. It just so happens that the 3-beat weave offers a great way to get into that position. No muss, no fuss. Next up, another kind of obvious one, but one that I'm going to add nonetheless, is that when you get your 5-beat weaves down, guess what? This does technically count as a transition when you go back and forth between the 3-beat weave and the 5-beat weave. What you're doing is just adding an extra degree of twist, but hey, a transition nonetheless. It still counts. And of course, we can also play around with the position where our hands open to go into one of my favorite big poi moves. Namely, we can take this split time, same direction feel, and as we open up our hands, we can take it around into giants, where we're basically doing shoulder reels with our shoulders, going full length all the way around before we collapse back down into that 3-beat weave. Again, we go big, and then we can take it back small again. All right, so I would consider all of that a smattering of intermediate poi tricks. Now it's time to dive into some of the advanced and some of the weird stuff. All right, so for this next bunch of transitions, I'm basically adding a whole bunch of stuff all into one category, and I'm referring to that category as hybrids. Namely, one of the things we can do here is go into both our Vulcan Tech Gospel hybrids, as well as some of our weirder and more exotic hybrids like triquetra versus pendulum. Let's take a look at both. All right, so the operating principle here is recognizing that when we're performing this 3-beat weave, we're essentially keeping our hands together out to the side. And that means that we can think of this as being a position of transition for timing and direction. Both of our hands out to the side, that means we can either go around in split time opposites, or if we prefer, in together same, like so. So this leaves us a bunch of possibilities, whether we want to just keep the poi consistently in the original timing and direction of split time same direction and separate out into something like 4-pedal anti-spin versus 2-pedal in-spin, or we could do something like taking the hands together in a buzzsaw flower, going around in 2 different versions of 4-pedal anti-spin, like so, or we can get a little weird. So we also have the possibility here of switching into some hybrids that have some more exotic qualities to them. So for instance, we could go around in pendulum versus triquetra, like so, and then switch back in. And there's also a whole host of variations on that, because we can do the same hybrid in split opposites, of course. What I really like about that hybrid, though, is that it's essentially a cap. And there's a lot of ways that you can split a cap. Heh, aren't I clever? One of which being that you can take the point isolation out of the top of this hybrid and instead add in a point isolation, like so, giving us something that I like to think of as the accordion hybrid. And, of course, just like there's a version of that where the hands go around together same, there is also a version of it where the hands go around in together opposite, like so. And either way, when the hands come back together over on the right, you can switch back into that weave. Nicely done. All right, so for our final transition here, it's going to get super weird. I'm going to take my weaves into wheel plane relative to the audience. We never, ever show people poi from this perspective, and I think that's kind of a shame, because there's a fun plane changing combo that we can do from here. Namely, when I have one hand crossed over the other, I can open up, close again, and switch back into the 3-beat weave. What is this sorcery? Let me show you. I'm looking for this moment where I have my right hand wrapped over my left, and I'm going to treat that moment as a stall, bring my left hand out, and then use a set of split time same direction stalls to bring my right up, my left down. I bring my right back over, and boom, I bring my left on top of my right hand. Same thing again. Boom, right stalls. We do the other stalls over, and we're back into the weave. I stall, bring it out, switch around, and here we go. And again, from under, I stall, bring it over, and we're back to the weave. Pretty wild, huh? All right, so let me show you a bunch of these possibilities in action so you can see how they all fit together. Good deal. I hope that was helpful and it gave you all some inspiration out there. But if you are looking for more guidance on how to move around with your weaves, you're in luck, because I'm starting up a new round of live stream poi dance classes. Starting May 21st, I'm teaching a 4-week course that is going to guide you through not only amazing transitions that you can do with your weaves, but also how to dance and present them. What's more, I will have a full poi choreographed combo for you to learn over the course of those 4 weeks so you can impress your friends and family. Registration is open now over at crowdcast.io/DrexFactorPoi. See you in class. Did you get anything out of this video? Please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to help other people find it, and of course, to help my channel grow. This video would not be possible without my amazing supporters on Patreon. In particular, I'd love to give a shout out to my Flow patrons who are listed on screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. And if you out there watching like the work that I produce and you'd like to see more of it, there's an easy way to do that. Head on over to Patreon at patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up to support my work. You can get access to a whole host of awesome rewards, but even better than that, you'll be helping me out in my mission to bring poi spinning and flow arts to the whole wide world. Go check that out, please and thank you. And if you just can't get enough of those weaves and challenging yourself, well, I uploaded a video on 5 different skill levels of the 3-beat weave that I'll go ahead and link to down in the description, as well as up on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to get out and flow yourself today, and I'll see you with a new video real soon. Take care now. Peace.